we've made it. We've made it to the end. We are here. Leviathan falls. All right, so as always, right up top, spoiler warning. And this, even though this is a spoiler-free review, I'm going to throw out a spoiler warning for the previous books because, of course, we are now officially on book 9 of a 9-book series. So we're at the end. Something might be said, I don't know, that's going to spoil or could potentially spoil the previous 8 books for you. I don't know what I'll even really discuss at this point, but I have thoughts, I have feelings on this one. Anyway, so spoiler warning for anything I might say on the previous books, although the review of this book will be spoiler free. Although if you're here, I would imagine if you're here on book 9 review of a 9-book series that you at least are familiar with the series or you don't give a shit about reading them or if they're spoiled. So, consistency and pacing, let's get there. The consistency and pacing is always there, although if I had what to say, if there was one book that was like paced a little bit more, it would be this one. Even though, let's be honest, consistency and pacing, I'm just going to say it. 9 books of this. And it's just still right there. It's just mind-boggling how consistent this series is. I've never seen anything like it. I've never read anything like it. It is impressive. Now, that being said, this book kind of confused the shit out of me because it's book 9. Here we are. This is it. This is the end. And I go run out and I grab it and it's short. The shortest of the series, I should say. I mean, they're all pretty much consistently between like 500 and 560 pages. That's how consistent these books are. They don't even fluctuate in page count. But it's like the shortest one of this. I thought, oh, really? Okay, that's odd. And I've been saying we've got some stuff to wrap up. I said it in the last review. There's some stuff to wrap up here. We got like this big bad and this big bad and we only have 2 books to do it. Well, here we are in book 9. We still have this big bad and this big bad, and we've got this book to do it. And it's just kind of like, yeah, we don't need that much space. I'm like, you don't? You must know something I don't know. It feels like you're going to need a page count to cover what needs covered. Then it kind of starts out slow. You're like, I expect to just like, bam, smack you in the face, and just keep smacking you in the face the whole time. It's just wham, bam, 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 bam. And it just kind of, it starts slow. And then it kind of bursts into action for a minute. And you're like, oh, here we go. And then it slows down. You're like, what the are you doing? I don't know. I couldn't pin down what exactly they were doing with this book. The characters just kind of feel like they're moving from place to place. It doesn't really feel like there's a clear idea of where we're going and why we're going there and what the end goal is. And things are happening, and they're happening all over the place and all around, but there's no real clear direction. It's not spelled out like in the beginning, like this is the situation, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to fix it. It's just kind of like the characters are moving and they don't know where they're going or why, so you don't know where they're going or why. It feels like a very odd way to shoot for the finale, because you're like, it's just very odd. There is a chase sequence, a new character that's chasing our Rocinante across the galaxies, and the chase sequence is done very well, and it's tense, and it feels like there's stakes, and it feels like we're just one step ahead, and they're following behind, and it feels good. It really does feel good. It's like a very well done chase sequence. And then there's some really bombastic crap that happens in there during this. But because there's no real clear idea of where we're going or what we're doing, it kind of sucks a little bit of the life out of the chase sequence. As well done as that chase sequence is, it's not like, well, if we just get here, then we'll be okay. It's like, well, if we just, well, we don't even know what we're doing, so we're just not getting caught and not getting killed at this point because we don't really know what we're doing. That sucks. It was like, oh man, it felt like it could have just been done better. Here I go complaining again, but this is actually a good book, I promise. That's not to take away from the action of that chase scene, because that chase sequence felt good. And this is coming from somebody who just read Endymion, and I'll talk about that in Endymion. I mean, I just did the Endymion. Did I talk about the chase sequences in Endymion when I did that review? I don't know, but they weren't good. They were awful as far as chase sequences goes. I feel like I should retroactively do that in the review. Awful chase sequences in Endymion. Anyway, what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, let's be honest. You know what? I'm not sure I ever did. Anyway, the point is, it just feels like they're floundering for probably the first 2/3 of this book. It honestly feels like we're at book 9 in a 9-book series, and they just don't know how to end it. Although, real quick, I want to talk about character, because we're going to come back to that, because character's been a big thing for me, and character is always a big thing for me, and character I have talked about a lot in these reviews. I've griped about it a lot in these reviews. I just want to say that this book had the best character work out of the whole series. Now, it's not like there was a ton of it, because we are at the end. This is the climax, and we're gonna go through it. But the character beats that were in here were so well selected, and they were so well done. I don't know if there was a character beat in here that I didn't like. That's not true. There was some stuff that introduced this new Tanaka character, and pretty much anything and everything character-wise with that one, I just like, quit wasting my time. I don't care. Granted, they're like, there's only a couple of them, and they're super short and sweet, and they're over in a blink of an eye. But the real characters and the real character beats, this, just the most finesse that I've seen displayed by these people thus far in the series came in this book. Other than, that first book, this had the best character work out of the whole series. And the beats that you get are fantastic. I mean, when they hit, they hit. It's the emotional beats just slap in this book, and it's great. I can't compliment it enough. It's like, for a book series as a whole that had really subpar character work all the way throughout, this book finally just really nails it, and I must say, kudos to the authors for that. I was very pleasantly surprised, and I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job, me personally. Just my opinion. Now, back to the floundering. Like I said, it didn't feel like they had any idea how to end the book. Then the last 150 pages kicks in. Once that section of the book kicks in, it's immediately obvious. Oh, they knew exactly how they wanted to end this book. They didn't know how to get there, because that sequence kicks in and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. They had this probably in their brain books and books and books ago. And it is a beautiful sequence. It is the best sequence. It is the best ending this series could have ever had. It is, the second it starts to go down, you're like, this is what I needed this whole time. The vision is so crisp, and it's so clear, and it's so precise, and they knew what they wanted. They knew how to get there. They knew how to get it. They knew how to do it. They knew how to execute it. This 150 pages or so, I didn't count, was arguably the best 150 pages in the entire series. It was just The idea of can they stick the landing? Holy shit, they stuck it and then some. It was so satisfying. It gave you everything you could have ever wanted from this series. It ended wonderfully, beautifully. I can't say enough about this ending. It was good. I mean, it was great. Really, really makes it painfully obvious that they didn't know how to get there. Like I said, the first 2/3 of this book does not know what it's doing or where it's going. They had this image of this ending, and it was the most perfect image of the perfect ending, but they couldn't connect A to B to C to D to Z. A and Z are so good, being Leviathan Wakes and Leviathan Falls, and everything in between is just kind of held together with bubble gum and popsicle sticks. But it was so good. It was so good. That ending, God, I won't spoil a single second of it. Go read it. If you've made it this far in the series, please do yourself a favor and read this book, because the ending is so worth it. It was great. It was great. You get what you want out of it. I got what I wanted. I mean, you get I don't want to say anything. Just go read it. This, with the beginning and some of the beats throughout the series as a whole, if you asked me my honest opinion, whole series, okay, at this point, not just Leviathan Falls, but the whole series, I would say I've given all of these books between a 5 and a 7.5 so far in ratings, which is pretty average, above average. We'll say it's an above average series. And you put it together as a whole, it's a mildly above average series. I would say a mildly above average 9-book series. I would say this could have been easily one of the best 5-book series ever written. Unfortunately, it's a 9-book series. So it's just about 4 books too long. Back to just the book. It needs a rating. And I'm going to go ahead. This one's a tricky one. It was a difficult one to nail down just because the ending, there's that duality of it, of floundering, because feels like they don't know where they're going. And the most pitch perfect ending you could have possibly had, maybe the best grouping of pages in the whole series. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 7.5, just like I did Leviathan Wakes, even though I would say technically I feel like Leviathan Wakes is actually a better book. But the ending of this was so satisfying for this 9-book run that it's going to elevate the entire book as a whole, for me, above what it would normally have been if it was just a book to stand alone by itself. So we're going to go ahead and give this one a 7.5, just like we did Leviathan Wakes.